Good evening, and well, I was going to make two videos, but I'll start with this one. You know when you drink too much and you just feel like you want to stop drinking? But the problem with me is I actually go into supermarkets and I see things, or things are drawn to me, and I think it's God. He's telling me that I shouldn't. I was going to stop, and last night I went into this supermarket and I saw this bottle of... Now, if I look at that in the mirror, it says to me Atnaz, but you can see Satna, so, or even Santa. So you can see Santa, and you know that is just telling me you've got to drink that. And when it's like 500 yen, 600 yen, and I've got to come to the same conclusion that someone is sending me a message that, and it's from Chile. Well, now wines from Chile are pretty good, so I had to have that. I had to drink it, and I drank it. I did. And so today I thought, well, today will be the day that I stop drinking. So I went into another supermarket, Seiyu, and then I saw this one. And this is in a plastic bottle. This is in a plastic bottle. It's not very often I've drunk wine from a plastic bottle. They've usually been like from hotel bars, you know. And this is just a little bit left because this is the glass that it's going in. Okay, I've only had one of these, by the way. And this is Chile, plastic bottle, and this is called, it's called the lad era. So it's for the era for lads, and for green lads in the lad era. And that's lad era, or is it era? Epoch, that's a better word. And this was like 390 yen, 400 yen. And once again, something is saying, you've got to have that. You know, a bottle of beer is 300 yen, a bottle of wine is 400 yen. It's had to be the wine. Because if I had a beer, then I would want another beer. Okay? But anyway, so if you're in Seiyu in this area, Ladera wine, not too bad. I don't know what the percentage is. Oh, there is a one in the bottle. You could die if you have too many bottles of this. So, there you go. But what do you expect for 400 yen? Anyway, so that's me on my trying to stop drinking. But anyway, so I thought, well, I'll make one video instead of two, because it's less a pain uploading. But anyway, so I had a visitor from overseas. And this young man, he came last year, but he didn't have time to see me because he was with his dad, and he was in Tokyo. But so this year he came back and he says, I'll see if you don't mind meeting up. And of course I don't. It's great when, you know, like I'm not as famous as Victor, and loads of people, including crazy people, want to meet Victor. And Victor's quite right in refusing most of them. Anyway, so I said, yeah, sure. So kept in touch over the year. And we New Year's Day, and he came down from Tokyo. He was staying in Tokyo, so he paid like 20,000 yen on the train to come down to see me. And I thought that is a great, you know, that's nice of him to do that. So we met at 3 o'clock. But before we met, I said, "Do you want to go for some sushi?" "No." "Do you drink?" "I'll have one." And I didn't know what to expect. So I met him at the... he was from the north of England, and he's commented on quite a few of my videos, and I know that he likes wrestling. And so his name is Matthew, and we met in the 15th floor, and like I said, didn't want to drink, so I thought, what we're going to do? So I said, so we walked through town, and we walked from the station, from the Nagoya station, up to the school building, that's like a screw cork, or he described it as a drill. And then I just like showing him all the bits of town about my life in Japan, what went off, and all these buildings on the way up to Sakai. And we met about 3:30. And so, like I said, we're talking about various buildings and various bars and clubs and whatever, and talking about life. And we ended up going into an Italian place, a very cheap eatery, called Caesarea. Very cheap. I've done videos on it, I'm sure I have. But they took over a really nice restaurant in Sakai, Italian restaurant, and they took over. It became like a really posh restaurant, but with cheap prices and cheap food. And like I said, Matthew didn't want to drink, but we ended up like having a few wines. And by the time we turned round, it was like 9 or 10 o'clock or something like that. And then we went into the Red Rock. And so Matthew coming to Nagoya, we spent about we missed the last train, so we walked back down towards Nagoya Station, and I think it was about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, something like that. So we spent about 9 or 10 hours together, and so we had a really good time. Now Matthew's a fan of wrestling, but he was describing what's the difference between Japanese wrestling and American wrestling, and it seems it's a little bit harder in Japan, the wrestling, like true hardness. It's not all like in America made up. It's real tough stuff, and he likes that. He's a big fan of it. And I told him that when I was a lad, I remember watching people called Les Kelly, but I said, you won't know him. And then of course he says YouTube, and he's seen Les Kelly, which is one of the and if you're my age or a little bit younger, you will remember him. And he was one of the funniest wrestlers of that. The funniest wrestler, I think, of that period. And he sent me a link earlier today, and I was watching Les Kelly, and it was fantastic. I watched a bout of Les Kelly. It's about 3 videotapes. I highly recommend it. And like I said, we had a great time because he brought up memories from my very young youth. So I would have been 10, 11, 12 when I was watching things, or even younger, on like Tuesday nights, I think it was. Anyway, so like I say, thank you very much, Matthew, for wanting to see me, and we had a good time and became good friends. And so maybe he will come back in the future, and maybe I'll go up to Tokyo next time and see him and return the favour. So like I say, it was like I did, someone was coming to Japan and I asked to see him, and like he couldn't spare me 10 minutes. So that's a little dig at someone who would, obviously I'm not good enough to wipe his boots. But anyway, I had a really great time with Matthew. Anyway, so that's 2 videos in one, a long video, 7:36. It's a world record for me. Well, look at, God, can you see that light shining off the bottle? That is, can you see that? Or is it just me? Can you see that light? That's like, if that is not God, I don't know what it is. Anyway, oh, it's wine. So, Ladera and Santa Wines, thank you for the last 2 nights. It's been great. Next time I'll get a wash. Bye-bye. Turn the video off.